Begin.
Good afternoon, ladies, gentlemen, boys and girls, and I would like to welcome you to my presentation on my pitch about model railways, in which I shall be calling this Model Railcast. A podcast pitch by myself, Tom Reeds. So, just before we get into the main pitch itself, I'm going to introduce you to the world of model railways in a journey to Hamburg in Germany, in miniature Wonderland.
Happy to reach Wonderland.
So, we also have a quick video, well, an actual advertisement of a model railway, a show about model railways, which is on Channel 5, which is called The Great Model Railway Challenge.
Oh, here we go.
We apologise for the delay to this service. We are waiting for some glue to dry on the tracks.
Oh, bunch of amateurs.
The Great Model Railway Challenge starts Friday the 5th of October on Channel 5.
Okay. No? So, Model Railcast. What are my aims in my podcast? I aim to inform that model railways are accessible for all. I also aim to bring the younger generation into the hobby, raise awareness that model railways can be done on any scale of budget, and also explain what model railways are. Now, generally, most people stereotype the target audience for model railways of people aged 35 to 65 years and over. My target audience is people aged 12 to 65. Now that may seem like a large target audience, and yes, it does seem like it, but there are certain aspects of the hobby which can be accessible at any time and at any age, but this is where the main numbers are. So, why the alternative target audience, I hear you ask? Well, it's quite simple really. Having to do the research on this and looking at the people who I'm in contact with the hobby and in the industry, it is more difficult to tailor-make something for 16 to 21-year-olds. However, making something for an audience vaster, as 12 to 65 is for me more easier because I have more contacts with people who are in that larger age bracket, who have information of the hobby, and those who may not have information of the hobby. So that is why I've decided to do the alternative target audience. And also, going off of my research, over 50% of people I asked questionnaires for responded are over 21, and under 40% are aged 16 to 21. And also on the graph here, it shows that the majority of my target audience is aimed at males. However, I do intend to try and make it as friendly as possible to all viewers. So, in front of you, you have your handouts. These graphs actually are questions I asked about the model railway hobby itself. Another one of these was also about what scale to do, and I actually do have two representations, I shall send these round, of each scale. In the right hand here I have a double O scale model, which is 4mm to the foot, and this here, which you'll see once come round, is N scale, which is 2mm to the foot, as these are the most common scales that people said they wanted to model in if they were starting in the hobby. However, I do not have any of the other scales with me, as I do not own any O scale or G scale models. This information has actually benefited my research really well, because it enables me to, like I said earlier, tailor it to what people want to hear about or what they want to know about. So, how is this going to benefit me, I hear you ask? Well, most of my audience or people that I will be interviewing will have prior knowledge, some may not, but this is why I'm making this podcast, to introduce it to everyone. And 50% of my audience wants a model in one of the mainstream scales in the world of model railways, which is the double O scale model going around, as you can see. This is also really beneficial to me, and I think that with the people that I can speak to, I think that I'm going to be having a really good time getting my podcast up and running. So how has my research been beneficial? As I've said before, it's not only the research, it's the people who have said that they will come in and they would be willing to speak about the subject, so it's not just my voice rabbiting on, because I know some people can get bored of it, but hey ho, there you go. So, I plan to format my podcast like so. I plan to have introduction music, an opening dialogue body, the first sound effect 1, which is a train passing at speed. I plan to do 3 interviews. I have a second sound effect, which is a train horn, and then I have a main dialogue body and a closing dialogue and outro music. Most of these will be around 60 seconds per audio file, however that is only the minimum, so we can go over. Now you're probably asking, is where the dickens I plan to record all these audio files? So the opening dialogue and the extra dialogue bodies will be done here in the recording studio at Clarendon Sixth Form College, in which I will book out the studio and do all the necessary paperwork. Sound effect 1, train passing at speed, Berry Barrow Level Crossing in Failsworth. I have already looked into this, and you can go and record there because there is no actual station signage there, so you don't have to contact any other necessary third-party arrangements such as Network Rail. And sound effect 2 is a train horn, which I plan to record at the Lancashire Mining Museum Asseldean Colliery in Wigan. How I know how to do this: 1, I'm a member there, so I have access to the railway, and 2, I've also already spoken to staff beforehand to this, and they have agreed for me to do recordings. Interviews will also be done at my Model Railway Club, which is Tame Valley Model Railway Club in Staley Bridge. However, I have already spoken to one of the people who I intend to interview, and he has said he will be willing to come into college if needs be, and I will arrange the necessary paperwork. And all my music files I will be downloading via the internet, and for my music I will be using royalty-free music, so I do not have to worry about copyright strikes and uploading it to the web. Thank you for listening. Any questions?
Questions, guys? Where's the trains? I want to see the trains.
Does it have any question on it? You just give feedback?
Give feedback if you want.
By all means, fire away.
I think it was good because you literally knew like what you were going on about, like you just knew everything you were saying, like you never seen anything like that.
Thank
I
you.
just thought it was good.
Anybody else? I shouldn't be hearing the clicking of a mouse or keyboards, by the way, when someone else is presenting.
Yes, Kate. How am I going to make it interactive? A good question. And with that, I have a few ideas. 1, I can propose I can bring other guests in, and also I can possibly maybe interact more with the actual subject. Any other questions?
Tom.
I have a
Oh, wait.
question.
Of course.
So, when you was talking about the target audience being 12 to 65,
Yes.
I understand that that might be the target audience for the hobby, but is that relevant to the podcast?
Now,
Because you've got to think about the podcast target
yes.
audience.
Before we change that. Tom's. We discussed this, didn't
No,
we?
we know.
Yeah.
I know that it has
Yeah.
changed, but I mean 12 to 65 for a podcast.
Yeah, 12-year-olds aren't the same as 65-year-olds.
No, I do understand where you're coming from there, but the reason why I've given myself such a large target audience is because it can really be picked up at any point, really, and you don't have to keep listening. Like, the idea with the podcast is it's looking at going to be monthly, so you don't have to be in the know of what's happened. You can catch up with it at any time, which is also a reason why I chose the larger target audience, because not everyone has the same attention span. So say a 15-year-old might click off after 3 minutes, whereas someone in the 30s might listen to the entire thing, maybe 2 times over. You never know.
Okay, any other questions? Well, I thought it was excellent, Tom.
Thank you.
I really did. I thought your slides were really engaging, really creative. 1 or 2 of them lacked a bit of that, so go to your next slide. This one's brilliant, the way you introduced it. Sorry, that's your last slide. Go to the first slide.
First slide.
Yeah, it helps me refresh my memory as well. So I'm getting on. So this is great. What an opening slide that is. That's really eye-catching, really engaging. Straight away I'm like, bright colours, nice choice of font. I like the way you've done it italicised because it's like a train. Model rail. It looks like
On
a
a
moving
track.
train on a track. Is that deliberate?
No, that was not deliberate. That was just helping me see it better.
This is why I get paid the big bucks, guys. I thought it was really engaging. Opening slide, go to the next one. I like the way you set the context of what your podcast is about by showing us Miniature Wonderland in Hamburg. I've been to Miniature Wonderland in Hamburg, and it is brilliant.
It takes
It
about
is-
3 days to do.
You're like watching that video, then you're like, that's real. That's an actual. It's not. It's all models. It's all like miniature models. It's mad. It's like the crazy. I'd had a few Coca-Colas the night before as well when I went to it, so I was a bit freaked out by it all. But it was brilliant. And I really like that how you've